Okay, well, thanks for the bunch of us to attend our Fireside Chat tonight, presented by a sterling group from the Oregon Trail Council and Doug Fir and Benton districts and Yaquina. Get the homage there as well. The lineup tonight is Mr. Jim Wiley is going to talk with us about camp properties. We've got a couple of plugs that I'd like to make a little later on. Scott, did you have some things that you'd like to share with us get going tonight?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and start, Randy, and then I've just got a couple of things fairly quick.
Okay, you want to jump in now while we're assembling, or you want to, or Jim, you want to go first?
I'm happy to go first.
All right, Jim, you take it away.
Oregon Trail Council has 8 council camp properties, 2 of which we are not using right now for campers or scout units to go to. Those would be Camp Malacqua and Camp Baker. The other camps that we have, excuse me, are Camp Kitson, Camp Murnane, Weyerhaeuser Woods, Camp Mooney, and Camp Salholm. We also have Chinook property, but it's not available for camping yet. The COVID slowed the work down, and so our May the 1st opening has been postponed until we can get a little bit more people together. I'm going to start with Camp Kitson. It's a beautiful campsite.
Dave, welcome.
It's up on Hills Creek Road in Oak Ridge. It's not a bad drive from the Eugene area, even from Roseburg. It's on a river. You enter that. It's an old commercial hot springs that was donated to the Boy Scouts. And it's got Adirondack campsites. There's an upper and a lower Adirondack area. There's one outhouse. It's a 2-seater and 2 separate rooms. And then we have a shelter area. It's a site that you need to bring your own water to. Like everything else in the council, the camps are provided, but as far as any of the COVID-19 planning in that is all up to the units. You need to follow Governor Brown's guidelines on phase 2. We are allowed to camp as units if you camp in individual sleeping quarters. So that the best advice is if everybody can bring their own tent, that would really satisfy that part of the ruling. So there's 9 Adirondacks up there. We did have a little bit of a damage issue with the tree that took one out. So they're still available. The next site is Camp Murnane. It's west of Eugene. It's a beautiful camp also. To me, it looks like an old airfield in there. Is that what that was, Scott?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got Adirondacks and a huge covered shelter area. It's also a bring your own water site. We are into fire danger now, so any of our campsites in the council, we really should not be having open fires. We're into fire season, so prevent that. Bring a shovel, fire extinguisher, a Maddox or a pick or something like that, so that just in case you have an accident, you can cover it. It's got latrines there. Some of our site stuff calls them latrines, some of it calls them kaibo. So you can choose whichever one it is. Even Mooney has restrooms. And Camp Mooney is down in Suicide Creek, which is west on Highway 42. It's a very nice camp. It's about 580 acres. Has a lot of timber, a lot of open fields in it. It's got a very large covered Adirondack or shelter area that actually has electricity, picnic tables and that set up in it. And then down from that, there's a dozen Adirondacks that can be separated into different groups. Once again, you really need to separate people when they sleep, so tents are a good idea. They're in the lower area where there are a group of Adirondacks, there are a couple of fire rings. There's an ADA accessible Adirondack for use. Douglas County is big time on the fire prevention down here. So even charcoal is not allowed. It's just propane or white gas. It's got, I was going to read one more thing on it. The flushing toilets at this time are closed. They have very nice vault toilets. You're responsible for the cleanup of those and things between. Now, Weyerhaeuser Woods is not a, yes, sir.
Don't you also have a commercial attraction or two down there that would also make it worthwhile for other units to come visit for the weekend?
Yes, there's Wildlife Safari is one that's on the way to camp right off the freeway. It's a real good spot. There's an Abby's Pizza there. You could actually do to-go pizza. I think they have inside dining now, but you could have somebody run into town and pick up a bunch of pizzas. I know I've done that.
Yeah, so you could go down on a Friday night, say from Corvallis perhaps, and get to camp a little late, and then get up in the morning, go do wildlife safari, and come back and still do a full slate of scouting activities for the next 24 hours or so, huh?
That is correct. And I believe Wildlife Safari is on the camp card, if I'm not mistaken. I bought some camp cards, but I gave them back to the person to have them sell them again. Because I knew I wasn't going. So it's a real nice camp. Weyerhaeuser Woods is in Fall Creek, and it's another bring your own water, bring your own firewood. It does have a porta potty that's there, that's serviced fairly regularly. It can be wet, but this time of year that's not a concern. And then we've got Camp Salholm, which is over on the coast by Lakeside, Oregon. And it's a very nice camp, but it is a little bit steep. So if you've got a younger troop, you may want to have somebody scouted out first. It's a lot of uphill and downhill, and it's downhill in, but when you're tired coming out, it is uphill. It is possible to canoe to it from the 10 Mile Lake Yacht Club area. There's a boat ramp over there. You'd have to do your safe scouting with the water and all that, and with social distancing. But those are the camps that are available. Now you can go into the Oregon Trail Council website, and on a computer up at the top, if you look at camping and then you go to camp properties, it will break out the different camps. It's got a calendar in there that will show you when the camp is available, when it's not. And surprisingly, we're pretty full through the whole summer with packs and troops at all of these camps. So if you're thinking about camping, I wouldn't procrastinate much. I would get in there and get a date set up, call the council office, have them register you for that, and then go camping. 80% of scouting is outing, so have fun. So that's about it. Do we have camping at the council office, Scott?
Do we have camping here?
Yes.
No, we don't.
Oh, well, when I go through Eugene, I see a lot of tents set up. I just wondered if it was a campsite or not.
That's our security. We allow our security people to stay on site.
Oh, very good. So that's it for me, Randy.
Oh dear. Say what? Oh, you guys are killing me.
Thanks for asking, though, Jim.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to mute myself.
If you weren't looking at the campsites as a destination, but as just an overall part of your weekend, you mentioned the wildlife safari as one of the other things to do vicinity Mooney. Are there other activities around the other campsites that would also be attractive to a unit?
Kitson is a natural hot spring, and so you could take a Yeah, with the COVID thing, you'd need a lot of little hot tubs. But I know people take up kiddie pools and a siphon hose. Yes, Scott.
I was just going to say, and with a little bit of research, Randy, actually that area is one of the premier areas as far as mountain biking. I think there's some great mountain biking trails up in that area.
Yeah, that would be very workable. And of course,
the town is real nice. There is a Dairy Queen on the way there, so if you're heading up on a Friday night, good place to stop and get a burger and a sundae for the trip in.
Yeah, Dave Birkin is smiling at that. You obviously have done that.
So the question is there a good coffee shop there?
That's right. And I have not found one coming down that hill. I keep looking as I'm coming down the hill and have not found the drive-through that accommodates a trailer.
Yeah.
The Scouts be darned. I'm going to get coffee no matter what on my way back.
Well, I think you could probably get through the McDonald's, right?
True. That works in a pinch.
And the Safeway has a Starbucks. You know, you get out and stretch your legs.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
if you're into milkshakes, I would recommend Dairy Queen and their strawberry milkshakes. They do a fantastic job up there in Oak Ridge.
I think there's an A&W there too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking other creature comforts now. What's this about camping and being outside? Yeah, right. Going to go to Dairy Queen and Abby's and that sort of thing. Dave, have you got a favorite place that you like to take your troop camping?
Favorite place that we like to take the troop camping actually is local to us. It's a property here in Philomath called Camp Cone. It's a property that we go to quite often. So it's literally 7 miles southwest of Philomath.
Really?
It was a piece of property that was donated to Troop 2, but was given to the Friends of Camp Cone as a holding property. And I literally have the key to the property. And it's off on Starker Forest property.
I'll be darned. I thought I knew little nooks and crannies, but that's one that I don't know about.
It's an awesome piece of almost undeveloped land. There's been a bunch of Eagle projects out there doing some improvements to it. But It's a great piece of property that the Scouts love to go to, both Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts.
Yeah, very good. And I saw you guys had a splash on Facebook here several days ago. What was that all about?
We did our virtual Court of Honor. We were trying to put it off, and we finally bit the bullet and said, let's do a Court of Honor because we need to recognize the Scouts. And so we revamped the whole Court of Honor script to make it work for virtual. And the feedback was it came off pretty good. So
well, what I saw on Facebook was sure impressive. It caught my attention pretty quickly. Yeah.
We had a good 30 Scouts as part of the Court of Honor. So, and a lot of good recognition. And our historian put together a bunch of the slides of the activities that we actually did before the shutdown. So both the slide presentations with Scouts pictures on it as they earned achievements and ranks so they could see themselves. And they weren't just stock pictures, they were action photos from the course of the last 6 months. And then the historian went through all those photos and culled some really good ones to show off to the rest of the troops and parents.
Yeah. And then I saw something, was it Doug Feldkamp hosted an Eagle board, and they did a face bump they did a fist bump on Facebook. Anybody else see that?
Yeah, they did 2 or 3 Eagles at that board.
Yeah, but that was again, that was set up and it was very splashy. It very pleasing to see that kind of behavior going on. So Rob, you got a couple of things I'd like to at least mention to the group. If you could put them up, put the overall scouting wire thing up on the screen for us.
All right. Well, I'm going to do a little guided tour to get us there, if that's okay. So I'm going to go to my screen share here. And hopefully everyone is seeing screen 2 right about now.
Yep, that's the OTC website.
Let me slide those things out of my way there. So from our homepage, if you go to contacts and down to Fireside Chats, that is going to be the home of all of the back versions of Fireside Chats right there. And this episode will be on there tonight as well. And then Randy, you said you wanted to go to which of the handouts?
The first one that says Eagle Project of the Year.
There you
So
go.
this came out of Scouting Wire, and I don't know if everybody on the chat is subscribed. Sherry, you are, I'm sure, on the professional side. This is the volunteer edition of Scouting Wire, and this is a pretty cool deal. This is a high school sophomore that literally organized building a whole bunch of concrete seats outside in the gathering area for his high school. But my point to you is the Scouting Wire side of this thing and the information that the volunteers can glean from this, because it gets into your mailbox every day. It's a worthwhile endeavor if you've not already signed up for that. The second one I'd like you to put up for Rob is the return to scouting. This one here, this is a good checklist out of the same Scouting Wire publication from yesterday or today, I forget. But it's a great checklist because it goes through the supervision and assessment, fitness, and so on down there. And Scott, to your discussion previously, safe is not equal to risk-free. I thought that was a very interesting sidebar there in that particular article. Scoutingwire.com. It's free, gets into your mailbox every day, chock full of good ideas. Those are the things that I needed to talk about tonight. Scott, did you have some things you wanted to share with us?
Just mention a couple of things. One thing I wanted to mention is hopefully all of you received the BSA's commitment to act against racial injustice. It was an email that should have gone out to Scouters this week. Really proud of the Boy Scouts of America for doing this. You know, it talks in here, I think the lines that I like the best is it talks about being brave, and it says brave means taking action because it is the right thing to do, and being an upstander even when it may prompt criticism from some. You know, and it goes on to say, we realize we have not been as brave as we should have been because as Scouts, we must always stand for what is right and take action when the situation demands it. And, you know, I have to tell you, that hit home, not only that, but last week. And I think one of the things that Randy said in last week's Fireside Chat really hit home with me. And that was when he said, you know, a lot of times we hear the talk about racism and we think, well, they're not talking to me because I'm not racist. But when we hear somebody else that may be making some racist comments, do we stand up and do what's right? And I know Randy said, you said, you know, that's where you've got areas of improvement. After you said that, I got to thinking about it and I thought, yep, I need to do the same. It's interesting, after this information went out this week, I did get an email from somebody that said, well, isn't that implied in in the oath and the law? And I said, yeah, you know, I agree with you. I do think it is implied, but it doesn't help us to better educate and better define what exactly that means to our Scouts. So again, I thought that was a great piece. I love the fact that they've got the training that's coming up for our staff as well as volunteers. You know, our staff, it will be eligible to take that come July 1st. And then volunteers, it'll roll out at some point after that to all the volunteers, and the merit badge that they're talking about as well. Some great strides. The other thing I wanted to mention is just going back to the June 10th update that came out from the council, and just remind everybody that the Boy Scouts of America, to make sure that we identify and support and take care of anybody that might have been had abuse happen to them in the scouting, within the scouting program. we want to make sure that those people are identified and taken care of. So the Boy Scouts of America, you've probably seen several ads from different attorneys talking about it, but the Boy Scouts of America are sending those notifications out as well to anybody that's been registered with the BSA within the last 8 years. Should be receiving some notification. And you know, most of our cases, 90% of our cases, happened 30 years ago or before, those abuse cases. But we do want to make sure that anybody that it has happened to is identified and taken care of. And that's this whole process. If it doesn't affect you, don't worry about it. But it's our attempt to make sure that we include everybody that's happened to over the years in the scouting program. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody realized that information, or those notifications will be coming out sometime in the near future. And until November 16th, you'll be seeing a lot of ads about it. An ad campaign is coming out from Boy Scouts as well as the attorneys. So you will be seeing that. You know, again, just a reminder that BSA is very, very safe. It's safer now than it ever has been. And the things that we put in place has stopped these situations from happening. And if we follow BSA policy and procedures, we're running the safest environment that you could have. And that's really all I have, Randy, at this point.
Well said. Sir, Jim.
Rob, could you pull up the council webpage again for us? I just wanted to show people where to register for the camps. My share wouldn't work.
I sure can. Let's see.
Thank you, sir. And what we're going to do is this is the web page. If you're on a phone, it's a little bit different. I don't know where you went.
You still seeing me?
There we are. Okay, if you go to camping and then properties overview, and then it will talk about the camps, and you can scroll down through this, and it talks about the reservations amounts and that. Baker and Malacqua we ignore, but if you just checked availability on Camp Kitson, this will pull up a calendar, and that way for troops trying to plan, it should populate itself.
Takes a minute.
Yeah, it takes it a second. Mine on my phone is instantaneous, and I rarely use it here. Here we go. And if you look at this and scroll down a bit more, we've got camp in there, and you'll notice that the whole camp is closed for 72 hours between reservations. And that's just to give the camp a chance to breathe, let the heat, let the sunshine do its job on it. So you can see the troops now that are registered. It just shows numbers, no personal information up there, but it's important to get into there and register if you want to go. If you start looking at this, there's not a whole lot of openings. I can see something after August the 10th is open. But remember, we do have 5 places available to go. So climb in there, call the office, make your reservation, and like I said before, get out and go camping. If you could check Weyerhaeuser Woods would be a good one to look at. It's real close for everybody in the Eugene area. It's a very nice campsite. It's quiet. It's off the road. And
as well.
Sherry?
I have to leave. I've got another meeting. Nice seeing you guys.
Okay.
Be good. See you soon.
But there's how you register. So that's what you need to know. On a phone, when you go into it, on the mobile app, on the upper left corner, there'll be 4 little hash marks. And if you highlight those, it will open up this same menu of camping properties and those kinds of things. So just surf around a little bit on our websites. I know I had somebody call me last week about the Order of the Arrow, wanting to know how long someone had been advisor. And all of that information is online. And when I used to train technicians on appliances, I would tell them, you know, you can't break these websites. Go in and use them. And if you mess things up, just start over again. But there's tons of information on the OTC website. So surf around and take a look. We've got time.
Yep. Well said. Well said. Rob, do we have any questions from the field that we need to address tonight?
We do not.
Randy, one thing I would mention about properties is I've had a lot of units call up and say, can we do this? Can we do that? And I think I've mentioned it on Fireside Chats before. And I just want to mention, we're not telling, as a council, we're not telling them what they can and can't do. We're referring them to the state guidelines for the current phase that we're in. And then if they are going to use one of our properties, we're asking them to submit their plan to show us how they plan on adhering to those state guidelines. So that's what we're doing at this point.
Yep, good advice. Good advice. Solid, no doubt. Okay, our time is about up. Wanted to put in a plug for next week. We're going to talk about the state of training across the council, and we'll have a couple of exciting folks in here to chat with us about that. And then we'll get into other topics that the audience has an interest in. Dave, if you've got some ideas on some things you'd like us to cover, please share that with us. It's real easy. Either shoot us an email, give a call, drop a chat, whatever the case may be. And Jim, the same thing with you. We'd love to hear from other folks about how we can enhance what we're already doing. Anything else to the group? Going once, going twice. Thanks, Rob. 3, 2, 1, we're out.
Thank you, guys.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dave Birkin bailed immediately.
All right. Good night,
Pretty good.
everybody.
Pretty good.